All right, we're back for Chapter 4, Part 5. If you guys hung in there, I'm very impressed. All right, we're going to finish this off with talking about the impact of information technology in the workplace. So this is kind of relevant because we are teaching these courses online right now, and this is very relevant. There's been an increased consumer purchasing power lately. Most people now have, laptops, internet, online. They can do all this stuff really anywhere. We don't have we're not restricted by geographic locations. There's going to be definitely a production cost reduction, a reduction in production costs because we're working remotely. And this might sound a little bit frustrating for students because students are doing these classes online and they're not coming into class, seeing their instructors, talking to their friends, socializing, doing all that stuff that they're paying the tuition for. So I actually, as an instructor, I find this very frustrating myself. I do like an online component, but I do like seeing my students once a week so that I can deliver these classes face to face, answer questions, keep them on track, keep them on task. Because working online has advantages, but it definitely has disadvantages, as we've all discovered during this coronavirus time of working online. So information technology has a direct effect on the nature of the job. Absolutely. I mean, all of our work that we're doing now seems to be able to be done on the computer. Most office jobs. So telecommuting is now becoming the norm, especially with COVID and the lockdown right now. So it's enabling people to basically do the job at home. Now, Douglas College has some resources for doing this. You guys have probably taken advantage of a lot of these already. Forbes magazine is talking about some of the benefits of working at home. And that's all great. But we kind of know what the benefits are, but there's also some downsides to this. And I think we should almost have a slide talking about the downsides to this. Organizations can use the best human resources in a geographical location. That means I can find the best people all over the world. Yes, that's definitely an advantage. There's a lot of other advantages. Jobs skilling. As a result, what's one of the bad things? Job de-skilling. It occurs when skilled labor is eliminated by high technology. So if you were to get an example of this, the first one that came to mind was those automated tellers that we have now. So we used to have checkout tellers at grocery stores, and we used to have like 5 or 6 employed. Now you do it yourself. You go up to a machine, you put your groceries, you check it out yourself, and there's just one person watching up to 10 terminals. So it's eliminating jobs using that technology, and there's a lot of jobs that are going to go that way. And with artificial intelligence and machine learning and with quantum computing, that is going to have a drastic fundamental impact on our society. I would highly encourage students to think about their job prospects and how it's going to be impacted by these new technologies that are coming up. Virtual organizations have popped up everywhere. You can actually do work online without having any office space. People are just hired, work at home, and run complete organizations from their house. A friend of mine has an Amazon business that he just runs out of his apartment, and he does drop shipping, and he does very well at it. So it's I don't know how long it'll last, but he's definitely making good money right now. He's basically his own virtual company, and he doesn't handle any products. All he does is he sources, he advertises on Amazon, he sells products, and he just follows up on logistics and makes sure that he gets his good ratings, and he's always looking for new products. It's a lot of work, but he's working online all the time. It's a really interesting thing. You can also, with these virtual companies, you can also, of course, share skills. You can share costs. I think what's going to happen in the future, and what's happening right now, is with people working at home, a lot of companies are going to really look at their office space and say, do we need as much office space, or can we get away with half our office space and let certain people work at home? Because certain people working at home are still productive. They still get the job done. They still get the results. Why can't they stay at home if they want to stay home? That means we don't have to lease out as much space. That means our company profits should go up, or our product prices should go down for our customers. A lot of benefits to telecommuting, as you can see in this list right here. And with it sounds wonderful, but there is a downside. I notice myself, I'm not out walking around, I'm not socializing, I'm more encapsulated in my space at home. I'm not exercising, which has caused problems. I've gained a little bit of weight, I think, from the health aspect. So we're still going through a transition. So there's some down effects, not just the benefits. I'll let you read through the benefits. If they were asked a question on the quiz, like list off 3 benefits, I'm sure you could come up with 3 benefits from this list, and even some benefits that aren't on the list. Oh, there's the drawbacks. That's right. So here we go. Become a workaholic. Now, that hasn't happened to me yet, but I know some people who are checking their computer all the time. They work like late hours. They're always on the computer because as soon as their computer dings, they're running to the computer, answering an email. They're really tied to it. So it has, for some people, become very problematic. When you're at work, you deal with it. When you're at home, you deal with that. But when you mix the two, some people can't separate them. And there's a transition stage right now. I know that's happening to me. And I'm sure it's happening to other people. There's no regular work routine. Again, what I try to do is I try to get up at a particular time, sit at my computer for a particular time, take lunch at a particular time, and try to follow that routine. But I slip away from it. I got to really discipline myself. When you're working online, you have to be more responsible for your behavior. It's not like you can go to work and you've got fixed hours, you got an office, you got a computer, and so on. So I'll let you read through the rest of these. There are a lot of other ones. I know family interruptions, that's a big problem with people and having their own space to do their work. So we'll see how this evolves over the next couple of years. I think there's going to be a lot of changes that are going to go in telecommuting in the next couple of years. Information technology and health issues. Interesting. Increased this popularization of the touchscreen has resulted in stress-related injuries of users. I haven't had this problem myself. I know some people get carpal tunnel syndrome from the mouse, from doing repetitive tasks, but I've never really experienced that. Or eye problems, back sitting in your chair. I think all these can be alleviated with just a proper behavior. You don't have to fall into that trap of getting health-related issues. I mean, some people just sit at their computer and drink soda all day. I mean, that's, common sense, I think. Health problems related to computer equipment, your vision problem. I don't know, muscle problems, I guess, could be if you got to exercise. I know some people, they have a desk that can raise and they stand at their desk, or they sit on those balls for to keep their muscles in order. But I don't want to talk too much about this stuff because I think your health issues are really dependent on your own personal behavior. You can avoid that if you want. I think the user has to take some responsibility themselves to avoid that. Stress-related problems, though, I think might be a little harder for some people to control. I can see that. When you've got a computer in your home and your computer is ding and there's an email, you can have more stress and it can translate into the family. So I think, we have to set up a separate area, your own area separated from your family, and be able to get into that little sanctuary area to do your job, just like you would if you had an office. Now, whether or not a company was going to compensate people for having offices at home, that could come up into the future. I could see that, where companies will say, we're going to give you a $1,000 credit for using your home every month, as an incentive to create your own space at home. That could happen. Green computing. Okay. Promotes a sustainable environment and consumes less amounts of energy. All these computers that are coming out, they usually have a green sticker on them, an Energy Star efficiency. They're trying to be more and more energy efficient. As we become more and more of a tech society, we're using more and more electricity. That electricity is generated by a lot of them by fossil fuels, which is environmentally problematic. So they're trying to minimize that by making more efficient computers. As you probably know, you might even buy a computer that is a Green Star or Energy Star compliant. Of course, it requires cooperation from the companies and the people that produce this. I got a couple of links here if you guys are interested in looking at the compliances that they're working on right now. Ways to achieve green computing. Well, designing products that last longer. I mean, that's a great way. So we don't have computers that we throw away every 3 years. Like back in the 80s and 90s, our computers would last 3, maybe 4 years, but now laptops can last 5 or 6 years, or even longer, which is great. We're not throwing as many away as we used to, or making them more modular so you can update them is another way of doing that. So parts that you can replace, instead of replacing the entire system, is a great way of saving environmental waste. This was I thought an interesting one that the book had was designing search engines and computer routines that are faster and consume less energy, which is really an interesting thought, because what they're talking about here is writing code that is more efficient and more effective and faster, so you don't have more electricity going to the processor to spend more time, which is really an interesting thought. So they're really looking at ways of trying to save energy, and that's an extreme one, I think, right there. This is a growing trend right now. You will see this when you work, is that a lot of IT departments are trying to replace these underutilized computers that they're using within their organizations, and they're moving these to virtual computers, which are extremely efficient. So a lot of companies now are outsourcing. They call them off-prem servers. There's called prem server, which is on-premise, and there's off-prem servers, or off-prem servers. And this is where you lease a computer, and they only charge you for what you use, and these computers are maximized in their potential. So rather than people all buying their own file servers, you're sharing larger on-cloud servers, and this is a great trend, and I think this is going to have a huge impact globally with the amount of energy that's being consumed. So these are some interesting ways that computers are going green. Using computer devices that consume less energy and are biodegradable. Well, that's the actual computer itself, and I haven't really seen too much of this. Biodegradable, meaning I guess that they just eventually just reabsorb into the environment. They go into a landfill maybe. This was, of course, the most obvious one, allowing certain employees to work from their homes. Now, these slides were done pre-COVID, so you could imagine how many people are not taking their cars to work. It'll be really interesting once all this data comes out and they actually find out how many people are not driving anymore and how much pollution that's saving. I'm sure it's going to be significant to the global equation here, that one alone. And this is pretty much the same one, conducting meetings. Of course, we're doing a lot of Zoom or Teams meetings. We're not driving to work. We're not having those meetings. We're just sitting at home. I haven't driven my car literally in months. So I just took my insurance off my car. So again, this is another use that I've mentioned, the cloud computing. It's much more efficient at how they utilize their computers rather than everybody having them on. Turning off idle computers just as a policy within your computer. Changing your policies so that your computer shuts down after 5 or 10 minutes is another great way of saving. So the operating systems have put in a policy that by default computers will shut off at a certain time. And if you propagate that policy on every Windows computer or every Mac computer on the planet, that means that every computer is going to be shut down after a certain time frame compared to just being left on constantly. So you can imagine with a policy like that how much money it would save in electricity and in fossil fuels globally. All right, so that pretty much brings us to the end of this chapter. It was a long one, really important. I really like this chapter, as you probably can tell from the number of videos that I've done. And again, I highly encourage you to read through the textbook. You should read the textbook first, probably, because that's going through all the learning objectives. When I talk in these lectures, I cover them, but I cover them from more of a personal aspect, not what the book is going through. I'm just trying to give you another side of things. So definitely read the book, go through the slides, read the glossary terms, and get used to this terminology. I think this is very important, and you'll notice that the quizzes are testing you on a lot of the glossary terms and terminology. So we want you to know what those are. as you progress through the course, because you'll be hearing this when you're in the workplace. They'll be using these terms, so we want you to be well educated on all of those. All right, so that's pretty much a wrap for chapter number 4. So stay tuned, and I will put chapter number 5 up soon.